everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to CSA's Research Summit. This session is on modern data security challenges and best practices. I am Gopi Ramamurthy. I am head of security at Symmetry Systems. The agenda is separated into two parts. First one will be on challenges that we see on data security. The second one will be on best practices, how to protect data. Before we start, I'd like to go through a couple of things. First, I'd like to thank you for attending this session in between your busy schedule. I also like to thank CSA team and Research Summit team. It takes a lot of volunteer time to host this event, bring us together, help us gain more knowledge. I also like to thank all the books and the articles I referred for this session. Finally, this particular session has many slides, but don't worry, I have marked important one with star. Little bit about me. I have built security infrastructure for 3 companies in the last 15 years. I have managed security compliance at multiple levels. I have managed more than 100 audits. I'm also active in information security community. You're going to spend next 25 to 30 minutes in this session, and you need to know why this topic is important and what it means to all of us. So I have brought some data points before we get started. This table, you would see a bunch of companies, and most of them you're very, very familiar and you would have used them. And these companies do have security team, and they also have they also go through multiple compliance certifications each year. Unfortunately, they do have one more thing in common. They've gone through one or more data breaches in the past. So what does this tell us? Let's look at one more data point before we decide. Surfshark has been collecting the data breaches metrics since 2004. And the number you see, 16 billion total number of breach accounts or exposed accounts since 2004. It's not only it's only PII. It's not even PCI or PHI. So what this means to us is the data has inherent risk of data breach, or every company has inherent risk of data breach or data leak. So let's see how we protect them. Before we move on to section 1, I'd like to add a couple of more important notes. First, Zero Trust pioneer John Kinderwag says Zero Trust start with data security, and data pillar is the most important one in Zero Trust. One more funny thing. So Mark Twain, if he's alive today, he would probably update his quote saying that the only certainties in life are death, taxes, and data breaches. Let's get started with section 1. What are the challenges bring by technology on securing our data security domain? Let's understand what happened in last 20 years in terms of technology changes. So this particular slide has too many information, but I'll help you to understand the important one. Look at the red ones. They are pointing about data systems, data storage, and anything data could live on. So data storage and data systems have gone through a tremendous amount of changes in last 20 years. Data used to be primarily, the critical data used to be primarily only in RDBMS like Oracle, SQL Server, and IBM DB2. But in the last 15 years, they are in Hadoop, big data, different types of NoSQL databases, cloud data systems, and so on. What it means is we need to understand the inherent vulnerabilities and any risk coming through this new type of data systems. The one thing you see also the risk is the data systems used to be under layer 3, like behind web layer and application layer. Now with the cloud storage and with security groups and S3 buckets, they could be easily way up in the front layer, and then sometime they left it open. We'll review some more technology challenges for data security. The data perimeters are growing faster than the other perimeters. So network perimeter, we used to have network perimeter, then we used to have endpoints perimeter, but now data also on the perimeter, and they are growing through cloud applications. Second, the data is flowing through a lot of communication channels, email, Slack, and Zoom. And these have critical data carrying through so much of these communication channels. And some of them have become decision-making platforms as well. What it means is they do have critical data, and the senior management go and approve in these communication channels. Some more thing on the data technology side. So recently, in last 6 or 7 years, a huge amount of identity providers, identity consolidation platform have come across. That's good in from the SSO single sign-on perspective. It is also not good in one perspective. Previously, the corporate world had separate single sign-on or access control, and third-party applications had one or more access control. And then the enterprise applications that's built by the company and hosted on cloud had the separate access control. But with the latest technology with identity providers, they've created one single sign-on. So if that particular link is broken or attacked, a bad actor can get to all three pie chart in the systems like corporate, enterprise, and the third-party applications. So that's a big risk we have seen in the last few years. The architecture changes, cloud have also brought a lot of risk. For example, I was explaining, we used to have 3 or 4 tier architecture, web, application, database, and storage, and each layer was separated by firewalls and ACLs. So the external traffic could not directly reach to app layer or to database or storage layer uh, because of the ACLs. But in the cloud technology, these have been broken with simple change in the security group or mistake in the security group could take the external traffic to the data directly. This is the biggest risk I have seen in the last 8 to 10 years. Some more thing on the data perimeters. So data is everywhere now. It's on cars, home appliances, IoTs, ICS systems, and any small devices carry so much amount of data, PIA data, and some of the critical data as well. Okay, let's look at the challenges that come through process and through people. So changes in the process. The very important thing I would focus here is the configuration done for the cloud applications at the engineering, and they are bundled and then sent to production support operations people to get it deployed. So what it means is the production operations team either have no time or very, very less time to review the changes that coming across from from engineering, not only the packages, also all the config, starting from user ID, security groups, web access controls, all those, they come right from the engineering to production. And with the cloud technology, there have been multiple deployments happening per week or sometime per day. And the production operations, all they have to do is they just get it deployed and no time to review all the changes that coming in. And unfortunately, some of the changes could have security holes, and we have seen that has been happened many times. The CI/CD changes, continuous integration, continuous deployment is what pushing these changes multiple times per day or per week at many companies. So this biggest change in the way the code and configuration being deployed to production, and this is one of the biggest risks if we do not check it before it get deployed. For the people, I would focus on training. So many changes are happening in the technology, and the resources our team members may or may not have the adequate knowledge to understand the product and secure it uh, to the required level. Let's now learn from challenges in the ecosystem. So previously, there used to be few cloud applications. Now every small company has 50 or more applications they deal with every day, whether it's HR applications, DevOps applications, monitoring applications, security applications, or finance applications. So every company have signed up for the SaaS applications to run their business up and run in 1 or 2 days quickly. And part of that, they sign up for all these um, readily available cloud applications to get their business going. What this mean to us? These applications also come up with different types of interfaces. Some have webhooks, some have file transfer, some have different types of API harvesting, and so on. So these APIs and webhook and file transfer could be at risk if it's not properly tested or properly configured. And the other thing in the ecosystem. So what do I mean by ecosystem is all the parties serving the business or help to run the business, also all the parties that's in the supply chain. So these ecosystem vendors have multiple inherent risk, and we need to understand. The last part in the slide that I like to bring up is huge number of AI, LLM systems have come into effect, and they have been harvesting a large amount of data from internet, and in turn these systems are not fully yet secured, and they also expose the collected data from the internet. So they collect data from us, and then they are not fully secured, and they are exposing collected aggregated data to the bad actors potentially. So far we saw the challenges that bring to data security. Now let's understand, let's focus on best practices, how we can defend ourselves, how we can secure data. We'll start with again with technology. So in the legacy world, in the data center, colo data centers, we had a bunch of heavily secured layers, and that started network separation and tier separation and separated authentication and authorization, and the critical data was also protected with encryption, and there was a security management solution to manage the systems and data in the production. And this is the another list of the security controls we have seen in the last 20 years, data classification and data masking, tokenization. Tokenization was very prominent in the PCI systems to reduce the risk and scope of CHD and SAD outside of the PCI environment in scope. And we also had MFA, And recently, we have started seeing zero trust for data access implemented by multiple companies. And the SIM and IDS, IPS were there. And the one thing not fully yet developed is the data IDS, IPS, data firewalls, but they are being developed as we speak. Before we try to learn more best practices to protect data, let's look at the common reasons for data breaches in the last 5 years. So I went through some of the major data breaches in the last 5 years, and I tried to summarize the common reasons in this slide. So what I have repeatedly seen is credentials. Basically, I steal the identity and like credentials or break SSO or MFA. So these are the first two major ones many of the bad actors started with. Once they have a entry door using one or two of this credentials or identity, and then they went and explored what else they can do, how the bad actor can make a lateral movement, and so on. So these are the top common reasons I have seen with the data breaches. The last one I like to point it out is incomplete inventory of data assets. So for say cybersecurity professional like you and me, we always need to know what we need to protect and we always have to keep that up to date so that we could measure how it's being monitored, how it's being protected, and what else we can do. So now we learned common reasons for the data breaches in the last 5 years. And let's look at what other things can be done. I talked about inventory in the last slide. Basically, we need to identify all the data assets, and data assets could be in different format. It could be in the cloud storage, it could be in the SQL databases, it could be in the NoSQL databases, it could be in the Hadoop, it could be even simple file systems with value per format. So as a cybersecurity data security professional, we need to understand all the assets. We need to understand what types of assets they have, what types of data every data system has. Also, we need to understand what where these assets are located. So these are very, very important to even come up with a protection or measurement plan. Then based on the regulations we need to meet based on the data we carry, we need to find and come up with a monitoring strategy, and we need to have a purge and retention policy to reduce the data and the protect surface and to meet the regulatory requirements. So one thing we could all learn from Minority Report is the law enforcement team, they come to know when the next crime is going to happen. So they proactively send the law enforcement officials to the potential crime spot. So what this means is based on the analysis we do, based on all the data we have, we could probably think what could be the weakest link, where could be we have to add enhanced monitoring and security. As a cybersecurity professional, we can come up with this and then add additional monitoring and do a predictive cyber defense plan. Add additional monitoring and add additional restrictions to protect probably a potential cyber attack on data. Couple of more things. We could subscribe to ISAC's Information Sharing and Assurance Center to get latest threats on data. We could also learn from our peers, attend similar events, and we could also learn from some unfortunate events happened at at bigger other companies. We have a lot of things to learn from Target, Equifax, Capital One, MGM. Every incident was different, but we can learn and see what is this applicable to us, and if it is, then how we improve our data security defenses. So in the last year, Gartner announced a new category called DSPM. DSPM stands for Data Security Posture Management. So this is the this platform connects identity, data, operations, and provide complete view of what's going on about all the data sets, who has access, whether internal or external, who is doing what, or approved operation or a bulk changing operation, and so on. This also provide some helps you to build some security benchmark and also meet some compliance requirements. So this is the new category that have come up in the last 2-3 years for the data security. DSPM combines multiple existing tools and elevate them and enhance them with latest technologies to provide a more data security for us. For example, so it has IAM, some of the IAM perspective, it has CIEM, cloud infrastructure entitlement management features. It also does DAM. It also helps in zero trust data access. So it is combining multiple technologies, trying to have a consolidated, big platform to provide a complete view of the data security and help you to enhance data security. Let's look at what best practices we can do for at process level. The running infrastructure as a code scanning from the DevOps to production would help to mitigate or reduce or eliminate the risk introduced from the DevOps in the configuration that going through the production. So I would strongly recommend to check the configuration changes that coming from the DevOps right in the DevOps process, not waiting until the production and do production monitor. Not waiting until monitor in production. We have to check right in the DevOps process. Not only the packages, also check all the configurations that going from the DevOps to all the way to production. The second thing in this slide is bringing data security awareness to the team members. So team members must be given time to learn the new technologies and security, how to secure the new technologies. There are plenty of training opportunities and online materials available for the new technologies. And we sit along with our team members to spend time, learn, and then see how we need to secure these new technologies. Now let's look at the best practices in ecosystem. So if you remember what I meant, the ecosystem is the third-party providers and supply chain providers that have cloud applications and used by the companies. That's ecosystem. So we need to understand, we need to have an inventory of all the third parties, and we need to risk rank them, and we need to know what data going in, what data coming in. And we also need to know whether they are SSO connected or credentials use or MFA use. So we need to have a consolidated inventory. I've done this multiple times at multiple companies. So as a cybersecurity professional, you need to have your list of complete third-party providers, whether upstream or downstream, and then need to know your access control and also need to know what data they going in, PII or PHI. So once you have this, at least you will feel a little bit not blindsided. So you will have complete view, and then you could improve from there. How many are coming through SSO? Say I have 70 applications, 40 are going through SSO and 30 are not. And then for 30, how do I secure credentials and MFA or only credentials? And if it's only credentials, I always call the vendor to improve, to provide me MFA or to connect me with SSO. So always first get the inventory, put your top questions, and then see what we need to improve. So we are almost time at a high level. In summary, there are so many changes coming in. We have to be open to learn for changes, and we have to have eye to see the security challenges that's being brought by this technology and process changes and so on. Takeaways. So let me summarize what we saw in the best practices section. Keep the inventory and keep it up to date, and keep the risk register, and and periodically review up to date. Have your team go through required training, and sit with them and go through training, and then understand what's the new risk and uh, how we can prevent it, and understand any process changes from the dev engineering to production coming through, and introduce bells and whistles and checks and balances in the process changes to catch the security uh, weak weak point in the earlier before it gets to production. And finally, on the technology side, have a strategy to completely get the visibility of all the changes, all the data assets, data access control, and flow and operations, either from internal or external, um, so that you could have complete visibility of the data. And finally, use the pen test to test not only applications, although also the data security. I'd like to leave one final thought to all of our cybersecurity professionals. We agree that some of our data systems may not be 100% secure, but we will never stop improving data security posture, at least by a few percent every day. This is my contact link. If you have more questions or like to get connected to continue the conversation, please connect with me. Thank you.